I met Art Sanchez my first day going to the Blind Center in Salt Lake. I was 19, just fresh out of high school, and I thought I knew everything, and I very quickly learned I knew nothing. But the minute I met Art Sanchez, I fell in love with the man almost immediately. He just had that presence about him that said, here is a great guy. He always had a smile. He used to say things completely off the wall. He used to tell us jokes at lunch. He used to just come up with these crazy things he would say and do, and he loved that more than anything, I think. He loved to laugh. Almost immediately we became friends, and I discovered very quickly that we both had a strong love of wrestling. I remember I used to come to the center every day, and he'd be staying over in the apartments, and I'd bring him DVDs to watch, and he just loved it, and we would sit and watch DVDs together. Sometimes I would stay with him at the apartment, and we would barbecue together. We'd go hang out in the pool. I remember the first time he invited me out to his house. I met his kids, Angelica, Cody, and Thomas, and I remember we were sitting there having dinner one night, and he looks over at me and he says, Casey, you're with family. I just want you to know that. I knew right then Art would be a friend of mine for life. In 2010, I had known Art for about a year, and he had come to my birthday party, and at this point we were really close friends. I would show him my audio wrestling shows. I was really excited about wrestling, and I always loved showing Art my shows. And he sat down one day and he said, hey, Casey, this is pretty cool. Do you think I could be a character on this show? And I said, Art, absolutely. And he said, okay, I want to be called Arturus. And I says, all right. And we made it happen.
Arturus going to the second rope. Go for a crossbody. Oh! Arturus now with a cover. 1, 2, and...
Art always told me, he said, I don't want to be a top draw. I don't want to be a champion. I just want to be there. I just want to be a part of what you do, brother.
And Arturus has got him up. And then Arturus torture. The Taurus torture again.
We had a lot of fun with the Arturus character. We would be on the phone and we would be discussing. We'd be like, hey, let's do this, or let's do this, let's do this.
Arturus, I tell you what, he's got the skills to be a big-time player here in the company.
He does, but what I want to see, a lot of people are going to be interested in is, yeah, you can have all the skills you want, but are you going to use them?
He was so fun to bounce ideas off of because he had that wit about him. He would say something funny, and then he'd go, no, but seriously, bro. He was the best. Life happens, and we didn't talk for a few years, and, we got busy doing other things, and I moved around a couple places. I made my way out to Price in 2014, about 5 years ago. And when I was down there, I called Art, and I says, hey, I'm down here in Price. Now, keep in mind, I hadn't seen Art in about 6 years at this point. And I remember the first time I saw him, he gave me a big hug. I was so happy to see him. And we went over to his place. And the first thing we did was pop a top. He says, here, bro, have some pizza. And it was this day-old, cold Little Caesars pizza he got I think it was the night before. But, us being guys, we didn't care about that. We used to have these big bonfires almost every night, and I spent like a month and a half over at his place, and we'd watch wrestling, we'd camp. We'd make these big bonfires, and just every night was an adventure. I remember at some point we were sitting by the fire, and he turns to me and he goes, "So, whatever became of the Arcturus character?" And I says, well, I got busy and didn't have any ideas for it, so I dropped it. And he goes, "Well, I have an idea for you." I says, "What's that, Art?" And he goes, "Let's bring it back." I says, "Okay." And he goes, "But I want to tag team with my son Cody." And I says, "Art, is that what you want?" And he says, "Absolutely." And I says, "Well, I think we can make that happen." On our Independence Day episode, we brought those two back, and it was the best segment on the whole show, I thought. It was so much fun.
Bret Hart's moving here! Bret, come on! Do you think enough is enough? Wait a minute here.
What the hell?
Hey, bring out the beer kegs, man! Wait a minute, what the hell's going on? It is!
No!
That's Arcturus!
No! Fucking way!
That is Arcturus! That is Arthur Sanchez!
He loved rock and roll. He loved classic rock. He loved music in general. That was one thing I really loved about Art, was that he loved music. And he said, "I want AC/DC to be my theme. And I want it to play as I come out." And I said, "All right, Art, we can do that for you, buddy."
Art throwing a beer to Josh and Jay Duragon! Yeah!
Yeah, baby!
America! And Art and this young man warding off Brett Nolan. The odds are no longer in your favor. Ladies and gentlemen, Arcturus, welcome back to WRW. Welcome home. Man, what an ovation. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome his son, Cody Dean. Welcome to WOW, man. The first ever father-son tag team in the history of this business.
On the face of Bodell, so Arcturus tagging in that big young man, Cody Sanchez. We're going to see what young Sanchez is made of. Lifting Bodell's high over his head and boom, out of the back jaw. Arcturus in the cover. 1, 2, 3.
We had a plan. I had a plan to push Art and Cody to the moon. I had a plan to make them tag team champions. I wanted to do all this stuff, but shortly after, I got really sick. And I had to undergo eye removal surgery. And so I stopped doing my wrestling shows for a couple of years. And my buddy Aaron, out of Kentucky, he said, I really like that Art and Cody Sanchez tag team. He says, let me take them and do something with them. I says, all right. And I was talking to Aaron, and I said, hey, how would it be if we took the first father-son tag team and we made them tag team champions? And at Aaron Reed's Holiday in Hell event, That's exactly what happened.
Here they come! Here come Art and Cody Sanchez! Oh! These two men debuted on the first episode of the Root of RCW, and they beat the former tag team champions, Bandana Boss Man. Well, I'll tell you what is the shape of the Nasty Boys? They gotta be exhausted, but Art and Cody Sanchez are up to the task. Oh!
I sat there and listened in awe. And when Art and Cody won those belts, I had tears flowing down my face. Those were my boys. And I was so happy for them.
Belt down! 1, 2, and no! Cody kicks out again. Oh man. I think Cody Sanchez is going to experience some high tide when Art steps in and stops it. I tell you what, had Art not been there, Cody would have been in trouble. Cody on the top rope. Are we seeing history? Yes, my God, here it is. We're seeing RSW history. Will it happen? Will it happen? No! Damn it, no, not now. Doesn't realize Art and Cody are behind him. Double team! My God! Could this be? Oh my God, could this be? Could it be? Cody on the top rope. Leg drop. Good God, will it happen? 1, 2. Oh my God! We have new tag team champions. And here are your winners and new RCW Tag Team Champions, Art and Cody Sanchez. My God, we've seen history here tonight. Take it all in, kids. You earned it, both of you.
I was so proud. I found out yesterday, October 27th, that Art had passed away. Art always said to me, "Casey, you're one hell of an artist. You can do anything you set your mind to." I love that man. I really, really loved that man. How could you not? How could anybody not? I want his kids to know. Angelica, Cody, Thomas, Crystal. I loved your daddy, and I love all of you. And if there's anything you need, anything at all, please ask. I loved Art, and I love his family. If I can tell you one thing about Art, and tell you honestly, it's that he loved his family. Art Sanchez loved his family. He loved his children. He talked about his children constantly. He talked about his grandchildren constantly. Anytime he would talk about his children, his grandchildren, he would just light up, and that light would just shine everywhere. He was one of the best friends I had. I've said it 1,000,000 times before, and I'll probably say it 1,000,000 more. I loved that man. I loved that man. I would have missed him. I'll miss him. I've already talked to my buddy Johnny. We've already made the necessary arrangements. Next August, before our biggest event of the year, Evil Blood 2020, Art Sanchez is going into our Hall of Fame, and we will celebrate his life. I will celebrate the life of one of the best friends I ever had. I love you, my brother. I'll see you down the road. And as you always said, my friend, peace and love.